All right, welcome back. I have made some adjustments to the microphone, so hopefully it's louder this time. I know the last couple of videos have been kind of quiet, so let me know if it's louder. So, yeah. Let's get into it. I'm going to talk about knife pairings today. I think I think some of us are probably kind of like to pick out knives for your day that kind of go together. I don't know. I do it sometimes, not all the time. But sometimes I think it's kind of nice to have, something that goes together nicely. So I have some examples here that we'll talk about. First one is this pair here. This is the TRM Neutron 2 Lizard Skin and the GEC Engineer, the traditional pocket knives version. It's kind of like my fancy carry. Both are pretty fancy knives. I mean, this is not a super expensive knife, but it looks beautiful, you know. Very kind of a sexy knife. This is a sexy knife. I know some of you are uncomfortable with calling a knife sexy, but I'm not. This is probably my favorite traditional slip joint. It's a double blader, which usually are really fat, wide, and this one is not because of this little notch that this secondary blade kind of rides in. It kind of like sits in the primary blade's area, which makes it pretty thin. So it's really cool. You get two blades for in a pretty thin package. You got the full polish on the blade that kind of adds to the fanciness. This really nice red bone, and nice little pen blade too. It's a 32 engineer. That's what it is. And this is the traditional pocket knives version, C. Reisner cutlery. So you got the Indian head shield, a couple Indian heads down there too, and you got the C. Reisner cutlery on the blade. Really beautiful knife. And everyone knows best texture on titanium ever made. The lizard skin titanium scales from TRM. I just think these go really well together. Now, some of these I choose because of the blade shapes, and normally that's what I do. If I'm carrying kind of as my primary knife a drop point or something, I like to carry a Wharncliffe or sheepsfoot as my secondary blade, just to have the options there. I don't always do it, but I kind of usually try to, because there's definitely times during the day where I need to do like a little utility cut, and a drop point is not ideal for that. So I'll break out my my secondary whatever knife it is. So there you go. That's the first one. Next, it's kind of like my small carry. These are both small knives. This is the Spyderco Little Native Drop Point. This is a Knifejoy exclusive in 20 CV, and these scales are from Rip's Garage Tech with they're the fluted scales. Really, really pretty, and it's got the same wire clip that it comes with. The Little Native is a powerful little knife. This could be your only knife. It can do everything you need it to do. I think I carried this for a week straight, just to kind of see if I needed more blade, and it turns out I didn't. It did everything I needed it to do. It's just really badass, Compression lock, great snappy detent. It's fantastic. It's pricey with these scales. These are not cheap scales. I forget exactly how much. Like somewhere around 150, I believe. But I think it's worth it. It really kind of elevates the knife into feeling really premium once you put titanium on this thing. And that's the case with, most knives. Once you add titanium onto them, it just kind of turns them into a better feeling, more kind of premium feeling knife. And then this is the GEC Little Rattler. This is a tiny, tiny little slip joint. Micarta covers with that shield there. It's a number 19 Little Rattler. Little Wharncliffe blade, which this is the first time I ever sharpened on a stone and I took away too much material so that when the blade was closed, you could snag the tip with your finger. But thankfully, if you ever do that, all you need to do is just shave down this knock just a little bit, because that's basically the stop. That hits back in there and stops the blade. So if you take some of that away, it'll sit further down in the handle. So luckily I was able to remedy my mistake. But it's very sharp, very tiny, great for little utility cuts. I mean, it's a really cool knife because it's so small it just disappears in your pocket. Don't even know it's there until you need it. Bought it used. Definitely got some wear, but I think it looks real nice. So that's my my little knife pair. Next up, the industrial kind of knife pairing, and that is the McNeese Mac 2 and the Serge Panchenko Slip 7. Both have a really nice dark stone wash or acid wash, which really complement each other nicely. And both these knives have just a really industrial sort of tool feel about them, which I really like. The Mac 2 is a really tough knife, really a heavy-duty knife, but very simple at the same time. No lock bar inserts, no, lock bar stabilizer like the Hinderers have. Nothing like that. It's just simple, but rugged and really tough. And it's actually a really good cutter. Despite it being pretty thick blade stock, they grind them pretty thin behind the edge, at least kind of right in this area. So they cut really nicely, extremely smooth, really, really smooth. Great detents, great clips, and just a really cool looking knife and a great performer. This one's in Magna Cut. It's the flat ground version, and I love it. I got this is my second Mac 2. I got rid of the first one because I needed to get the money for something else. I forget what it was, but as soon as I sold that one, I knew I had to have another one at some point. So yeah, a Mac 2 will always be in my collection. And then the Serge Panchenko Slip 7, kind of similar, very simple looking, but really tool looking as well. And this has the best walk and talk of any slip joint I've ever tried, period. Traditional or modern. It's just the snappiest, man. It is unbelievably snappy. Really useful sheep's foot blade, or maybe a Warncliffe, I don't know. It's got some slight belly in there. Very neutral handle. Great sharpening choil. It's just a very cool looking knife. And again, the walk and talk is unbelievable. The backspring is really interesting. It kind of sinks down below the surface of these scales. Doesn't affect the function of the knife at all. It's just a looks thing. I think it looks kind of cool. I've never seen a slip joint like that. There are some version of this actually up on his website right now with orange G10 handles, which not as good as these titanium ones, but I would honestly just jump on it. The knife is so good. It's going to have the same good walk and talk. It's just not going to feel quite as, good without these titanium scales, but it's only like $135, and it's such a good knife that if I were you, I would go for it. It's just that good. So there's the rugged kind of tool pairing. Next up, probably my favorite one, Rosie, and the Serge Panchenko collab with Fox Knives, the Bean 2. These, I think, go together really well. They have the same dark stonewash finish, just like the last pair. They both have, opening holes for the deployment. And they just, they just look really nice together. Obviously, the Rosie, my favorite knife. It's my favorite knife. I love it. So we don't need to talk about it too much, but I'll talk about it a little bit just in case maybe you haven't heard about the Rosie before. It's incredible. It's designed for cutting. Ergonomics are incredible. The blade geometry is incredible. The reverse flick is the best I've ever felt, period. It has a really interesting double detent ball system in there. Really unique feeling. Perfectly centered, just crispiest reverse flick ever. It's just so good. And then this is a little double detent knife. So there's this little lock bar putting pressure on the tang of the blade there. And you just kind of roll it out. It has an external stop pin, which kind of looks neat. Rotates around and stops right there. Sheep's foot sort of blade. The only downside is this is in 440C blade steel, which is pretty low grade stuff. There are better versions of the knife, like Panchenko makes his custom versions of these, which are much, much more expensive. But honestly, if you're just using it here and there to open some stuff up, 440C is fine. You know, it's a secondary kind of knife. You're not going to be doing all your cutting with it, so whatever. I'm fine with it for a really cool design. You know, that's all right. You can't really flick it, at least. I mean, you can't reverse flick it. There's no hole access. I've never been able to thumb flick it, so I just roll it out. It's kind of fun to play with. So there you go. I think these go together really nicely. And also, if you want to throw in a pen, this has kind of has a similar finish. The Big Idea design kind of mini pen, I think it's what it's called. I think that's a really nice carry right there. I think I need to clean out my pivot on my Rosie. Been carrying it to work. And lastly, this is, I don't know what you call this one. Maybe flashy? I don't know. This is the Brown Knives Cortex XL and the American Blade Works slip joint. These go together real nice because of the milling pattern. Both of them have, you know, lines going this way. This one also has kind of lines radiating out this way as well, but they both have kind of the pinstriping. They both have a similar finish, kind of the shined, sort of a lightly tumbled finish, kind of raw titanium sort of look. They both have kind of big fullers. Well, this one has a big fuller, this one has a little fuller. Yeah, I think they look real nice together. The Cortex XL is a really cool knife. Kind of mean looking, pretty slim compared to some of his other designs. The lock bar is in a really interesting spot. It's kind of like, normally it'd be like right here. It's like further up right here. Extremely smooth, and this top flipper tab is incredible. I think it's the best I've ever felt. It's just so easy to use. You can flip it like this. You can use it more like a top flipper with your thumb. You can do like the side finger kind of deal. Like you can kind of go over the top. However you want to do it, it's just so easy. And the fuller is great. Oops. For the reverse flick. Ergos are great and really nice choke up spot. Deep hollow grind. Pretty mean blade shape. I guess that'd be some kind of sheep's foot. The clip is awesome, how the texture continues over the clip, and there's a spot without milling underneath there. There's some cool milling on the inside too. There's a picture of a brain for Cortex, and then it's number 155. You can kind of see it right in there. It's just a really well built, very cool design. And the ABW slip joint. This was my pick for 2024 Knife of the Year. And it does have its little quirks that aren't perfect about it. Mainly the back spacer, or back spring, I mean. It's not flush with the back of the scales here. It kind of dips down a little right here. The walk and talk isn't amazing. From close to half stop is okay. Half stop to open is actually really good. Really nice click right there. Open to half stop's okay, but this is a really kind of lazy close. It's okay. I've definitely felt worse. It's just not quite as snappy and poppy as I would have liked it to be. But there's so many other good things about the knife that that the good things really outweigh that one little kind of negative or two little negatives. It's American made. It's an extremely good price, and the blade shape is awesome. It's really thin behind the edge, hollow ground sheep's foot blade. Just a really useful blade shape. I love the pinstriping. I just love how it looks overall. It's really good. It's really, really good. And I think they will only improve this design. I think they'll get this backspacer thing dialed in. I think they'll get it nice and snappy with the walk and talk. And those are really the only two things that I think they need to do. And this could be maybe the best modern slip joint. I think that's very possible. So if you get a chance to pick up one of these, I would definitely do it. So there you go. What do you guys think? Let's see, can I fit them all out here? Let's see. Rosie and the Bean 2, the Mac 2, and the Slip 7, the Little Native and the Little Rattler, and the Neutron 2, and the GEC Engineer. Only bit of color on this whole table. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any good pairings. And that's it. Like the video before you leave. See you next time.